we're considering an investor in this problem who wants to invest in each of the four options listed up here. Each of them offers a different interest rate, and he just wants to make sure that he doesn't lose any money on some of these, so he's going to kind of diversify his funds. So this investor has, well, she has $5,000 to invest, and would like to ensure she receives an overall return of 4% in 1 year. The investor's financial advisor informed her that for tax purposes she should ensure that her earned interest in bond market fund should be no more than 20% of all interest from her portfolio. She also decides that 15% of her portfolio will go to global equities. Okay, so first of all, we're going to identify variables, because the first question is how much should she put into each fund in order to achieve her goals. So, well, let's just label these appropriately. We'll say G is the dollars into global equities, S is the dollars into social choice, B is the dollars into bond market, and M is the dollars into money market. So that's what we want to know. Now our constraints, we'll first write them in words. We have to have at least as many equations as we do variables, otherwise we can't solve for them all, so we want to at least point out 4 constraints. So we have 5,000 to invest. We have a desired overall return on all 4 combined accounts of 4%. This is now, even these are 10-year, these are average annual, so these are what they've returned on average each year. Then we also know that this person wants to invest no more than 20%, or earn no more than 20% of all the interest from her portfolio for the year from the bond market fund. So bond market, we'll just say, well, no more than, okay, well, it can be as much as, so we'll just say bond market equals 20% of overall interest. So that has to be, now we have to be careful, this is 20% of all of the interest that she earns, should no more of that should come from the bond market. Similarly, no more than 50% of her portfolio will go to global equities. So global equities equals 15% of investment. Now these are 2 different statements. Here we're saying that she should ensure that her earned interest in the bond market, so this is earned interest in the bond market, should be 20%, versus 15% of her portfolio will go to global equities. So this is what she's investing. This is the amount that she's earning from bond market. So now we're going to quantify these. So we know that the dollars combined in all of these, G plus S plus B plus M, has to add up to 5,000, and we also know that the return has to be 4%. Well, that's the sum of all the returns that we have here. So global equities is going to earn 3.61%. So 3.61% of G plus 4.51% of S plus 5.29% of B plus 1.97% of M is going to equal an overall return of 4%. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that on all the dollars that she's invested, the 5,000, 4% is of that interest is what she'll earn. So some of her interests have to add up to 4% of the total that she puts in. Next, we have to consider the bond market constraint. So the 20% of the overall interest. Well, what's the overall interest? 5,000 times 4% is the overall interest. So let's just do that real quick so we have a number to work with. 5,000 times a 4% return is $200. So we're just going to cross this out and say the total interest of all the accounts has to add up to 200. Now 20% of that 200, 20% of the 200 has to come from the bond market. So B is the amount, the total amount of interest that she earns on this. 5.29% of what she puts in there has to equate to 20% of $200. Finally, GE, she basically puts in what goes into G is 15% of her overall investment. So 15% of, in this case, $5,000 is going to go into global equities. Now you might say, there's really not much to solve, we can figure these out right away. And the answer is yes, you can do that. But we're going to try to craft a system of equations from this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite these. G plus B plus S plus M has to equal 5,000. The total interest, 0.0361 G plus 0.051 S, excuse me, 0.0451 S, we're okay. Excuse me, that should be S. So this should be S plus B, and this should be S right here. Plus 0.0529 B plus 0.0197 M has to add up to $200. And then we know that all the interest earned from the bond market has to be 20% of the total interest earned. So 20% of the total interest earned is going to come from the interest earned on the bond market account. And so we can actually do this. 20% of 200 is going to be $40. So we have 0.0529B equals 40. Well, you might say, well, what about all the other variables? We can really easily just incorporate all the variables into this constraint right here by just saying 0G plus 0S plus 0.0529B plus 0M has to equal 40. So that's just our way of writing this equation but incorporating all the variables. Finally, we have G equals 15% of 5,000. And what's 15% of 5,000? So we already know what G is. It's $750. But that's okay. We're still going to use it as a constraint. G equals $750, but we can still put 0S, 0B, plus 0M. And now we can create a matrix out of this. So we can do our AX equals B. So our X matrix is actually just a series of variables. Importantly, we need to make sure that these all line up so that we get the right coefficients, G, S, B, and M. And so the first one is all ones, 1, 1, 1, 1. The second one is 0.0361, 0.0451, 0.0529, and 0.0197. And then we have 0, 0, 0.0529, 0, and then we have 1, 0, 0, 0 times this. So there's our A, our X matrix equals our solution matrix, which is 5,000, 200, 40, and 750. And that's our B matrix. So what we want to do is we want to find X, which is the result of taking A inverse times B. So I'm going to enter into my matrix this big 4x4. Now keep in mind this would be really challenging to solve by hand. So we're going to do this all in matrix form. So we have 1, 1, 1, 1. We have 0.0361, 0.0451, 0.0529, 0.0197, 0, 0, 0.0529, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. And now we can go ahead and edit our B matrix, which is going to be a 4x1. So we'll enter our B matrix as a 4x1, and this will be 5,000, 200, 40, and 750. And now we should be able to just go ahead and find A inverse B. So we'll hit A inverse matrix B, and there we have it. So our X matrix, I'll write it off to the side here, is equal to 750, which we already knew that. The amount going into the global equities had to be $750 because that was our constraint. $2,523.47 approximately into the social choice. $756.14 into the bond market, and $970.39 into the money market fund. So remember, this is GSBM. And we're done. So these should all add up to 5,000. If we went back and double checked it, we should be able to confirm all these constraints given these values.